When dealing with firearms, safety is your number one priority, regardless of whether you're brand new to firearms or you're a seasoned vet that's been around firearms and used them for decades. My name is Jeffrey Mitchell, aka SeniorTac. I'm the owner of Strategic Response Tactical. I'm a master level armor gunsmith, certified master level instructor, tactics trainer, 35 years of experience, what some people would consider a professional. Today I'm going to talk about the 4 universal firearms safety rules, or as I like to call them, the 4 commandments of firearms safety. Rule number 1, firearms are always loaded. We used to teach and instruct that you treat firearms as if they're loaded. I want to change that mentality and burn that and ingrain that in people's mindset that when you're dealing with a firearm, that firearm is loaded unless you have proven otherwise, unless you have physically picked that firearm up, checked it, cleared it, opened the action up, removed the magazine, remove any rounds from that weapon. That firearm is always loaded and treated as such, right? Number 2, never point a firearm. Never point a firearm unless you're willing to destroy what you're pointing that firearm at, right? Never point that firearm at something unless you want to blow a hole through it or unless you want to injure, harm, or kill somebody with that firearm. Number 3, keep your fingers off the trigger. And I added this S on the end of finger because I have seen and have witnessed firsthand people pulling their pistol out of their holster and dragging one of their fingers across the trigger face and causing that weapon to discharge, shooting them either in the leg, in the foot, or in the ground next to them. So keep your fingers off the firearm unless you have that weapon on your intended target. For example, when I point the weapon at the target, if I'm on target, my finger's on the trigger. If I'm off target, my finger's off the trigger. So on target, on trigger. Off target, off trigger. Keep your fingers off the trigger unless you're on target. Take your fingers off the trigger when you're off target. Understand? Number 4, identify your target. You should know what is in front of, to the left of, to the right of, and behind your target at all times. Situational awareness is paramount when you're firing or when you're shooting, specifically if you're in a self-defense situation. If you're on a flat range, it's a little bit differently. You don't have to worry about too much about somebody running in front of you when you're firing your weapon. But you should always be aware of and know and be able to identify your target, your intended target, know what's in front of, behind of, to the left of, to the right of, right? In real life, we don't have berms of dirt that are 10 or 15 feet high, or a steel trap or a concrete trap behind where you're firing at. If you're out having dinner with your family or something like that, and a situation arises where you have to defend yourself with a firearm, you're not going to have those things there to protect you. You're going to have all these people running around, and when you level your firearm on somebody getting ready to engage them, you need to be aware that there's people running around and are potentially going to run in front of you when you're firing your weapon. I would hate to think that I'm getting ready to engage an enemy combatant and Barry dumbass run in front of me and I canoe the top of his head because I wasn't aware of him running in front of me, right? So identify your target, know what's to the left, right, behind, and in front of your target at all times. Quick recap of the 4 universal firearms safety rules. Number 1, firearms are always loaded unless you proven otherwise, right? Number 2, never point a firearm unless you're willing to blow a hole through or destroy what the weapon is pointed at. Understand? Number 3, keep your fingers off the trigger unless you're on target. Firearm on target, finger on trigger. Firearm off target, finger off trigger. Keep your fingers off the trigger. Number 4, identify the threat. Identify your target. Know what's in front of, behind, left, and to the right of that target at all times when you're firing your weapon. So we've gone over the 4 universal firearms safety rules. These rules are your commandments for firearms safety. That's something that you should live by every single time that you're dealing with your firearm. They should be first and foremost in your mind. This bonus that I'm talking about is the weapon itself. If you don't know about the weapon that you're dealing with or going to be working with or something like that, you need to be instructed and shown what that weapon does, its capabilities, what the functions of each of the controls are before you mess with that firearm. Because if you pick up some firearm that you're not familiar with, you don't know the controls, you may think that you're turning on or turning off the safety, when in essence you're not doing either, but you're decocking that firearm, and you didn't make it safe, you just made it harder to fire, but it will still fire. The firearm is loaded and you should keep your fingers off the triggers anyway. But be aware of that firearm. Firearms manufacturers are very good about putting literature in with the firearms that they sell. It is your job to read that literature, aka the Bible, that should become your Bible for that firearm, and you should become a subject matter expert on that firearm that you're dealing with. Not only for your sake, but if you're in a situation and somebody wants to know about the firearm that you have, you can knowledgeably explain to them what everything does on that firearm, what its capabilities are. That way, it makes for a safer environment for you and for everybody else around you, using the 4 universal firearm safety rules and using my SeniorTac added bonus, right? Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jeffrey Mitchell, SeniorTac. Have a great day.